Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a match from the RSL, the brand new season. We're in the upper left of a map called 10,000 feet. And sending out a drone. Suspiciously early. We're looking inside of the main base of Rogue. I thought for a second that was like a, I don't know, a 12 or a 13 hatch? That doesn't make any sense at all. I think what we're doing is, jeez. His opponent in the bottom right, playing right here in blue. With the Proto species, we have none other than MaxPax. Now, where is that worker going? We already have MaxPax with a very quick block. He doesn't, however, know about the drone that is currently arriving over at his third base. Rogue decides to take it. Okay, we're starting off this series with a little bit of spice. Rogue also is faking out the third hatch. That drone, or the Protoss drone over here, that probe just went into the main base. He will see that there's no spawning pool, so he will think that there's now a hatchery building right over here, but he couldn't really be further from the truth. There is a hatchery right outside of his natural expansion. And unless MaxPax actually goes out and checks, he will very likely not find out about it anytime soon. Gateway is building right now for MaxPax. It will be done in a moment, but I think even when this thing finishes, he is not gonna have vision of the hatchery over here. Nexus starts up, should be a cyber core on the back of this immediately. He just doesn't see. He's not gonna go for a blind zealot. He needs a blind zealot, but he simply does not know. Alrighty then. What do we do from here? An extra drone is moving out. It could be for a spine crawler proxy. Could also be for another hatchery out there somewhere. He does see a drone transfer now, MaxPax that is, and I think he will likely check on his way home. Another drone is making some weird moves, and I think MaxPax now is getting a little bit suspicious, because that worker was moving in a weird direction. Okay, and now he will realize that something is off. Do you pull any workers? Do you actually go out and phase check it? I guess you will. MaxPax is going down to the low ground, but he already has vision of a little bit of creep, and he will realize now what in the world he is playing against. An Adept is starting up a second gateway here very rapidly too, but indeed that drone that we saw moving across is now turning into a spine crawler, and what we have here is a cheeky little spine crawler rush at the absolute highest level of StarCraft 2. Sure. Let's find out. Does this actually work out favorably for the Zerg? We have the Zerg. We have a Stargate building inside of the main base too. Queen is already just about to be available. I wonder if we should make a Spore Crawler over here at some point in the future as well. Wouldn't be a terrible idea. Creep tumors though are going to be super annoying because that's going to allow the creep to move forward and then to allow those spine crawlers within a range of the wall. We do have some extra pylons over here, which is nice. Actually, no, these are both shield batteries. I thought that this one over here was a pylon for just a sec, but I mean, if this pylon falls, everything here gets unpowered. This is actually a disaster in the making. Link speed is about 80% of the way done. We have that probe scout now confirming that there is indeed never going to be another base. Spine crawler's actually flipping through my screen. This is one feature of a spine crawler, when your camera is in a different location and then sometimes when you tap back, the spine crawler goes flying across the screen. That's been a bug in the game for about a decade now. I don't think Blizzard is ever going to fix it. Anyhow, gateway number 1 ends up falling. And I've got a feeling that this is an absolute disaster. I mean, yeah, you just bypass this. Okay, Oracle does spawn though, which is nice. The timing here for MaxPax is just about perfect. There is no Spore Crawler available, but we do have a second Queen. I mean, as long as the spines get within range, they're going to get rid of the energy here. He is going after the high energy Queen though, so no transfusion available there on Karen just yet. Full wraparound here with the links. I mean, this shield battery is going to have a finite amount of energy. He saves them with the shade away for now. The question is mostly not so much when this natural expansion falls, but what stage MaxPax is going to be in when he ultimately loses the low ground. Obviously, though, that makes it one base versus one base, and breaking open the high ground will be a very tough ask. We're going to need a new cyber core as well as a gateway. He did restart up a very quick cyber core inside of the main, so that's at the very least something. Cyber core is also in the correct position here, making it difficult for the Zerglings to actually finish the job. We have some Spore Crawlers building too, one of them inside of the main base, the other one right outside of the Protoss main. Okay, now, where do we go from here? I mean, we have the Oracles on the other side of the map. They're not going to really be able to achieve too much. I mean, we have 9 kills there on one of those Oracles, but that's just Zerglings. Where do we go from here? Do you just keep spreading creep? Do you slow push your way up into the main base of the Protoss? How in the world are you gonna deal with, for example, any stasis wards? In the meantime, we do have a little bit of a dance here, but a third queen is now available, and that is one Oracle falling because of the third one spawning. A spine there coming out of left field. MaxPax not quite anticipating it. He goes for a load of gateways, though, and we end up with what is efficiently, I guess, a one-base opener here for MaxPax. He just lost the natural, right? But we end up with a pretty stellar one-base build. Economically speaking, MaxPax has been fine this entire game long. There is, I guess, a natural here on the other side of the map for Rogue, and he does indeed begin a little bit of mining here. Very cheeky. Yeah. And after sniping the opponent's natural, he is now turning this into like a one-base contain. He knows that there's not gonna be really any mining out on the map. Maybe he should have tracked down that probe that is currently hiding in the upper right, but the odds of there actually being a proxy out there are relatively slim, and you know what? He's thinking the same thing that I'm right now. Okay, Rogue is indeed going to snipe down that worker. He will be checking to see if there's any hidden bases. I'm assuming we're gonna check the 3 o'clock position too. He's also checking for proxies right out there. Yeah, so we're now effectively dealing with about 1.5 base Zerg. Yeah, not quite. Maybe 1.25 base Zerg. Whereas Protoss here is just stuck on a single mineral line. Queens do have enough energy here for transfusions. We're gonna get a Spore Crawler up on the high ground as well. I believe that what we are looking at here is a Rogue win in the most disgusting way possible. Banelings are joining in the fray. We will have some energy available, but you know what? Those probes, they do not have a lot of places to run, and I think this is gonna be costly. Yep, that's 10 workers down the drain, and it will only be the beginning of this fight. MaxPax's economy just got sliced in half. The spine crawlers are still poking away. Rogue is an absolute menace. GG. Alrighty. And just like that, we find ourselves on the map Old Republic. What do we do now, Rogue? Do we send out a drone yet again? Do we try and make a cheeky little proxy on the other side of the map once more? Probably not. I don't think it's a great build to do multiple times in a row, because if MaxPax sees the exact same thing now on the other side of the map, he will likely check a little bit sooner outside of his natural expansion. But what we do have is a very quick probe scout. Pylon on the low ground. I'm assuming we're going to go for a quick gateway here. By the way, he's not putting the pylon as part of the wall off here. Not that any Protoss player would ever do that. I mean, I'm still not entirely over that Raynor versus SOS series that is now a bunch of weeks ago. Man, in case you didn't see, SOS spawned in the upper section of the map, and he made what I consider to be the absolute worst wall that I have seen in a couple of years. Absolute disaster. He ultimately needed to wall off the natural expansion with 3 pylons, and there was still a hole in the wall. Just, I kind of hate it. It's still blowing my mind how you can participate at the absolute highest level, but somehow get some of the basics wrong. I mean, it's very apparent, I guess, especially for Protoss, because you just, you know, you have a lot of very expensive things, but not as many compared to, for example, Zerg or, for example, Terran. You just end up with less structures, less units. It's just a little bit different, but... Alright. Not an issue, though, that MaxPax will really have to struggle with, because look, he's got a pylon right over here. He's going to be able to finish this wall off with an extra gateway right over there, and then everything is fine and dandy. You don't even need a second pylon as part of the wall. It's not really that hard. Anyhow, this time around, everything is relatively normal. I do kind of like, by the way, that MaxPax didn't even really blink. Like, he did not check further outside of his natural. So far, this game looks identical to the previous one. Obviously, it's a different map. But he hasn't even really bothered to check. I'm assuming he's gonna go and check it now? Okay, MaxPax apparently laughs in the face of danger. But here he knows that everything is indeed pretty normal. Okay. Now, I'm assuming Stargate yet again. Yep, makes a lot of sense. Oracles should be the go-to once more. They are certainly a really nice unit to have. I mean, you could have made the argument in the previous game that maybe Void Rays would have been better. It's just that they're expensive. That's kind of the issue you run into. Like, yeah, Void Rays are nice, but Oracles maybe nicer. Just not as beefy, I suppose, but Yeah, there is an argument to say that maybe Void Rays would have been the right call, but I think across the board, Oracles there do shine. Now, will we go for a third Nexus before a second Gateway? Does MaxPax feel brave enough right now? It is something that a lot of Protoss players have been experimenting with, but obviously doesn't really have a lot of wiggle room, and you never really know how many links the Zerg is making. So if Rogue were to make a lot of links right now, he can line it up with Zergling speed finishing. And if at that point MaxPax takes a third Nexus before a second Gateway as part of the wall-off, he can actually just get overwhelmed by like 20 links. Especially if he loses these two Adepts, and if there were 20 links, they would certainly be dead. So far though, the micro here of MaxPax is looking good. I think he's safe enough. We should see a probe move on over. And yep, we are going to see Max plant down the third Nexus before completing the wall off. It's a little greedy, but I think it's okay. We do have a few links going across, but both of the Adepts are still alive. It's a little bit different than, like, for example, those Showtime games that I recently had a look at. In all of the Showtime games, he seemed to YOLO in the first two Adepts. He was completely content getting just 2 worker kills every time with the 2 Adepts, and it just seemed kind of bad to me, because if you lose those Oracles, or sorry, if you lose those Adepts, then the Oracle will have to stay at home as well to defend, right? Like, I mean, there's not a whole lot of killing that he can do right over here, but at the very least, he is now forcing the Zerg to make some changes in their gameplay. Spore Crawler coming up, though, in the natural expansion, too. Rogue is getting the Queens in position, and he did go for a very quick Evo chamber. We haven't really seen this as much lately. I feel like a lot of the Zergs, at the very least, have been going into, yeah, quicker lairs and Roach Warrens and even, like, really quick Hydralisk stands, but they're not really building this up nearly as often anymore. Adepts, though, do swoop into the natural expansion to get a decent number of kills. 4 workers is not bad. Can he get 6? 7? 8? Ugh. No. 7 is nice, though. 8 in total. Nothing to scoff at here. This is a nice little bit of rock, paper, scissors, though, for the Zerg. So, he went for +1 melee here, nice and early. And he is going up against the Protoss player going Blink. If you play this build against, say, for example, like Glaive Adept, or even Charge Slots, or Archons, or any other follow-up, +1 melee is not ideal, but I think in this situation, it is just about perfect. What we do not yet have, though, is a lair. We're 5.5 minutes in. I am expecting it to start up soon, but maybe that is not going to be the case. Hold up right now. I think Rogue is going for another all-in. Yeah, Rogue is going to go for a +1 melee timing attack? He doesn't have a lair. He's building up a 4th hatchery. The 4th hatchery is just for larva generation and maybe to, like, make the Protoss player think that he's playing a macro game. But this is a committed all-in here from Rogue. I mean, I have no other way to put it. I think that this is a complete all-in because he needs to effectively, in order to be even, he needs to kill the Protoss 3rd. I guess it's because he lost so many drones on the other side of the map. MaxPax has got those Stalkers out on the map right now, and I think that means goodbye to the 3rd base. Immediate evacuation of the probe line, by the way, is really sweet. Yeah, he's gonna lose a handful, but really not that many. Good control here by Max. So, the 3rd Nexus will die. Really nothing he can do about it. What about the natural expansion, though? The Zerglings are trying to break through. More and more probes are falling. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, the Stalkers are still pushing. MaxPax should have a recall available, but he's just decided not to use it. That means that the links will likely come running home, but I think you now recall it out. Like, maybe blink behind the mineral line when it's available, and then recall. Try to buy as much time as you can. 3rd Nexus indeed does explode. Ooh, Cybercore is going to fall at this rate. He's already getting charged, though, which is going to be a reasonable follow-up. 4th hatchery is starting up yet again, and the problem here for Max, right, is that he's heavily oversaturated on his bases. Or I guess he's gonna start long-distance mining the 3rd, fair enough, but he still has a really healthy worker count. MaxPax is very stable here. Like, he really doesn't have a ton of urgency. Like, yeah, you lose a bunch of time here with that Nexus rebuilding, but he knows how many workers he killed earlier, and he knows that it's very likely a committed Zerg all-in. So, as the dust settles, this is a much better position for MaxPax. It's a little bit of an awkward one, but Rogue just doesn't have that many workers, right? Like, he just doesn't have that big of an income. So, if we look right here at the income graph, I think it's only going to get better. Look, this is whilst MaxPax is a base down, technically speaking. Kind of sweet. Army-wise, I think MaxPax should be able to start outgrowing the opponent here pretty quickly. More and more links breaking through. He will go after the Cybercore, it seems, but look at that shield battery. Getting a repair done as well. Oracle is still zapping away. That Oracle is going to get many, many kills. Links just aren't really able to get the job done. Yeah, calm and collected here by MaxPax. I can't believe he actually decided to keep those Stalkers out on the map earlier, but it turned out to be the right call, right? Like, I mean, he ended up killing the opponent's base at the 12 o'clock position, and he really did slow down the advance of the Zerg quite a lot. Alright, so now the lair is done. Infestation Pit coming up immediately, +2 melee as well. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we have MaxPax going Psystorm together with +2. Yeah, and this is what MaxPax does so much better than almost every other Protoss out there. He's just very calm. Like, he has very little urgency in his play. A lot of Protoss players out there just kind of feel like they need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And while that's a valid playstyle, I feel like MaxPax seems kind of relaxed most of the time. Cancels the 4th Nexus over here. He will need to go for some Zealot Warp-ins, but again, he's got to go after his hatchery up north. MaxPax doesn't really feel like he needs to push because he knows his late game is stellar. And while he can kind of commit to these attacks over here, he's not really... I mean, this is a little greedy, to be honest. I really don't know if he needs to be out here. I guess the Oracles are really sweet against Lynx, and now the Oracles join in the fray too. This does seem a little overly aggressive. Normally, though, a trade of armies is beneficial for the Zerg, but in this particular instance, we have more income for the Protoss. So, yeah, trading here. I mean, in a way, right here, we have the Protoss Zerging the Zerg. GG. Okay, and that takes us to a map called Throne of the Dunes. A map that is only used in the RSL. Honestly, kind of cool. It has these interesting little tents. This gives me very strong Middle Eastern vibes over here, okay? It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, the map makers really have been putting in a lot of effort. Although I do kind of feel like the dog is facing the wrong way over here. Anyhow, seems like a reasonable map. Basically, whenever we have a map contest in StarCraft 2, and there's currently a big one going on as well, I'll definitely go over some of the more promising maps over the next couple of months. If you're interested, I'll probably post it up on my second YouTube channel, so that's youtube.com/moreloko, where I post, well, usually 1 to 2 daily videos of not just StarCraft 2, but also other things. You should go check it out. Anyways, this is one of those maps that was part of the previous Team Liquid map contest, the TOMC, but it did not get chosen as a ladder map. And most of the time, that means that the maps just kind of fade away and nobody really hears of them ever again. But it's kind of sweet that some tournaments looked at it and they're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we can spice up our own tournament a bit, change up the map pool, go for, I mean, maybe remove some of the less exciting maps and go for some, well, fresher ones instead. And Throne of the Dunes, from what I recall, seemed really solid. It just didn't get chosen as a ladder map at the time. By the way, these little income graphs and the army size. Right now, we have no army size at all. I ran into an issue, right? So I mentioned that I recently got a new computer and I reinstalled everything. And I got this new observer interface that I really, really like. It's mostly the same as the previous one, just a little bit of refinement. I guess the most notable thing is the income per minute, now labeled above and below the gas and the mineral right over here. That's pretty sweet. Everybody seems to like it. However, I noticed that the hotkey for income and for army didn't work. So I looked into it, and it turns out it's a different hotkey than what I had in the past. It turns out that whoever made this observer interface put the income graph and then the army graph on numpad. Now, I don't have a real job, right? Like, my job is fake. So I have no need for a numpad. I haven't had a numpad on my keyboard in about a decade. This is a real issue for me, okay? I needed to figure out how, because you can't re-hotkey anything. That is not a thing you can adjust because it's like hardwired into the observer interface. I briefly contemplated getting a numpad, but don't worry about it. I still don't have a real job. I managed to hotkey it onto my stream deck instead, which is what I use for, well, a lot of little actions, especially while making content. Turns out you can just bind hotkeys, like, for example, numpad to it as well. So we can, once more, use the income graph as well as the army graph. I know. A couple of Zerkins over here trying to be annoying. Yeah, I've had people on the, especially in Twitch chat, they've been making fun of me for not having a numpad for about a decade now. Yeah. Although I will say, I have been to many, many, many esports events, and nobody ever has a numpad at any esport event. Other than the Warcraft 3 guys. The Warcraft 3 guys, I think they have like items or whatever bound to numpad by default, which is a bit of a mess. I mean, you can re-hotkey it nowadays, but back in the day that wasn't an option. In no other esport though, I don't know, at least none come to mind. I don't think anybody ever uses a numpad, but numpads are kind of useful. Yeah, they're kind of useful. If you, for example, are casting games of StarCraft 2, you want to open up the income tab, or if you have a job where you need to punch in numbers. I know. Anyways, I'm going to try and continue. Thank you for watching, by the way, so I don't have to go out and get a real job. I will try and keep my fake job going for a while longer. Okay, the queens are hunting down that very first oracle. Nice little bit of micro here. You cannot morph in structures on a ramp. 3 worker kills, not too bad. So we have ourselves an evolution chamber again. Oh yeah, I did recently come across Excel Esports. Apparently Excel Esports is a thing. Now look, I've never seen them at a esports tournament, but I'm sure in Excel Esports, they do use a numpad. Yeah, there's about 0% chance that they don't. Alright, it's going to be Glaive to Depths on the back of this right here for MaxPax. +1 melee yet again for Rogue. So this is Rogue going for the same build effectively twice in a row. 2 maps in a row at the very least, although this time around he didn't lose 9 workers. So he doesn't go for a Baneling all-in on the back of this. Instead we have a Lair, fair enough. But this time around it is a different follow-up from MaxPax. So MaxPax is not going Blink, he's going Glaive to Depths. And against Glaive to Depths, +1 melee is still nice, but it's not as good as when you play against Blink Stalkers. So let's see how this works out here for the Zerk in just a moment. We do have a Roach Warren at the very least building. That will be pretty sweet. Yeah, people used to ask me quite regularly. These days it's pretty uncommon, I guess, because there's a lot more people that, you know, make a living on the internet. But back when I first started, I did have people asking me all the time. And not just like people on the internet, but also like, I don't know, family members that I hadn't seen in like many years, right? And they would ask me like, hey, when are you gonna get a real job? I went on a date once with a girl. Don't tell Oran. I did speak to other girls in the past. And one of them asked, when are you gonna get a real... We did not go out on the second date. Anyways, let's see. Where do we go from here? We do have a stasis ward being planted down. Just like in the previous game. Oh, Rogue is trying to take a page here out of MaxPax's book. MaxPax at this time saved all of the workers. I don't think that Rogue is going to be so lucky, although he did buy a lot of time for the roaches to pop out. Okay, 11 workers. 12, 13, 14, 15. It's a disaster. Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why a quick +1 melee is nice. And while he did go for a Roach Warren, you know, he gets the right units out eventually, but you're just slowed down a bit too much. This is very likely going to trigger another all-in here from Rogue. But this time around, I think he's got... Well, I mean, he went for an all-in in game number 1 and in game number 2. I think the odds of it working in this one, they're lower than in the previous ones. So actually, he's macroing his way out of this. Oh, okay, we go for the exact polar opposite. He probably thinks here, MaxPax that is, that indeed Rogue is going to go for a counter all-in. And because of that, he's just going to sit here and defend. Yeah, look, he's making static defense. He is thinking right now that this game is already in the bag. Rogue is doing the exact opposite, where he is just holding down the drone button. We're going 4 SD, 4 SD, 4 SD, right? 4 to select the hatcheries, S to select the larva, and D to build drones. Rogue is spamming the buttons. It's super risky, though, because if MaxPax just was on the other side of the map right now, he would probably be able to win. Instead, I mean, the larva mechanic is very powerful. Rogue is going to be able to catch up in the worker count already. Took him about a minute. Now, if we look at that beloved income advantage, it's still a really nice situation here for Max. But he's gonna have to play a follow-up build. Okay. We've got ourselves the good old Storm Research. Blink on the back of this, +2 attack as well. 4th Nexus going up north. I don't think MaxPax really minds, though. Like, he knows that he's got an advantage. He knows the setup that he's currently in. So, yeah. I think we just keep building. Went ahead to try to get more ahead. It's a good bit of advice that still counts in 2026. I would still not really be too happy, though, to be in Rogue's shoes. But you know what? Credit where credit is due. He's doing a really nice job here at just getting, everything rolling again. I mean, if you look at the work account right now, I don't think we're in that bad of a spot. The main thing, though, that's costing him here is tech. So, on the other side of the map, MaxPax is already going up to the highest tier for Protoss, or at the very least, it's a consideration he can make. Normally, at this phase of the game, though, we will already have the Hive pretty much done. Maybe even for like a minute or two. At this stage in the match, we don't even have it started. So we end up with this Laratech Zerg army. Ooh, getting the wraparound would be sweet. Can we blink? Can we blink? Okay, he decided to wait. Just take a little bit of a, bruising on some of the shields. No reason to hurry, Lowko. Just chill for a little bit. Now, we can go for a fleet beacon here. I wouldn't mind it. Oh, look at this. This is Rogue actually taking another shot. Wow. That spire is practically invisible. I can't even click it. Okay. I'm gonna have to tilt the camera in order to click the spire. Honestly, kind of a sweet spot. I don't know if Rogue is doing this intentionally, but I think what he's trying to do is counter a Groundtools army by going into Brood Lords. So he's looked at the front lines, he saw the timing of the Robo facility. I think MaxPax here is probably about a 80% chance to go Skytools. I mean, he's going Fleet Beacon right now. Rogue hasn't seen it. But there's always a chance that Protoss is going to double down on a ground-based army instead. And against a ground-based army, you do absolutely destroy it with Brood Lords. So again, Rogue is forced to flip a couple of coins and hope that it works out for him. I'm still not really loving this position for him, despite the supply count. But I mean, it's not terrible. It is certainly not terrible. Overlord Scout is not going to go in. Or Overseer Scout, I should say. Nice little Spinecrawler spot as well. Really no reason to waste Banelings here. Like, come on, man. We're trying to save money. We are in debt right here, Rogue. We can't just be throwing away a bunch of Banelings. Ay, ay, ay. Millennials over here. That was like the avocado toast of Zerg right over there. Although I'm sure that Rogue could afford a house if he wanted to. Rogue probably can, you know. He's part of the exclusive StarCraft 2 Millionaires Club. He's doing all right. Anyways, let's see. This is a scary army right here for Max, but it's only gonna get scarier from here. We've got ourselves the Mama ship about a third of the way done. Carrier production has kicked in, and then MaxPax at the same time is also faking a big push. I mean, it's not really that fake. He is ready to fight if it takes, you know, him moving forward, but I don't think he wants to step too deep onto creep at the minute. Really just using this as a way to clear out some of the creep and, well, get the 5th Nexus up and running over here. What we do have, though, is Adrenal Glands, Chitinous Plating coming up for the Ultralisks. There's the Greater Spire. Okay. And we also do have Neural Parasite. It's another one of those last-ditch efforts that Zerg can go for. I'm honestly very impressed with how Rogue is navigating this. Like, you wouldn't really say that this is a big disadvantage for him anymore. But I still favor the position here for MaxPax tremendously. Yeah, MaxPax is not really known to throw games. Although he needs to be careful that he doesn't lose too many probes. Okay, the micro over here is solid. The Banelings do slip through the cracks. Mama needs to probably be out here and maybe use its cloaking upgrade, but he wants to hide the mothership. He doesn't want to show it to the Zerg. I don't think Rogue has seen it. Rogue is going to see the carriers. Zealot run by down south is also not going too well. Oh, Banelings do roll through now, and that's a whole lot of High Templar going down. Rogue is doing Rogue things here. Yep, making it extremely difficult for MaxPax. And right now, the advantage that MaxPax had built up over the last couple of minutes it is starting to fade away. Okay. In theory, what MaxPax did was correct. But the theory is not always how you win games. It's all about execution. And Rogue is a master when it comes to chaos. Now, as we all know, chaos is a ladder. That's what Littlefinger taught me anyways. Man, third Nexus dies. Ultra's moving around as well. No real engagement over here at the front lines, though. I would love to see +3 Carapace start up as well in one of the Evo chambers. I feel like that would be one of the things missing, but... yeah, Rogue has navigated this into a position, yet again, that is very playable for the Zerg. Lovely stuff. And this is one of the... well, key characteristics, I suppose, that Rogue has. Rogue is a fighter. At the highest level, it can be rare for people to come back, right? Like, many of us, myself included, have a tendency to, like, throw in the towel early. But Rogue has won many, many tournaments from behind. He's been playing this game for a very long time, and it almost feels to me like he is one of those players that, like, powers up when he's behind. Look at him go. Like, it's forcing him to make these coin flips, I guess, but he uses a weighted coin. He seems to be able to make the right decisions almost every time, and this, well, is another one of those games where he was in a pretty terrible spot, but he navigated it really well. Okay. So, what does MaxPax do now? Well, first off, we need to stop throwing away Zealots. He's got a really nice army. He did rebuild the High Templar, fair enough, but he's not very rich anymore. I do think, though, that it's okay for MaxPax to actually take this reasonably slowly, knowing very well that he's now giving the Zerg a lot of chances here to build up, like, an ultimate army. For the time being, apparently, we're going to go for some Dropper Lords, fair enough. It's still very Ling Bane heavy, though. We do not really have a lot of upgrades here for any flying units. Likewise, actually, MaxPax doesn't have a ton of upgrades either. Where is MaxPax going to be expanding to next? Obviously, this map is not that well explored. So, do you go for the one over here? I'm not so sure. Oh, really? Okay. We have 3 empty Dropper Lords moving into the main base, and then 7 additional Dropper Lords on the back of it. I don't know if the ones at the front, ooh, were supposed to be full. Either way, we do have a big push over here. The storms are really juicy, though, and pretty much all of the Banelings die before they crash into anything. Still, the Ultras are clearing out all of the units on the ground, but I think there's still enough Skytals remaining here, yeah, for Protoss to clean this up. The fake Overlord drop was a nice distraction, but MaxPax did not really make any mistakes there. It seemed like a big error for him, but it was all okay. Carriers will restart yet again, and the problem is that Rogue just went in for that big shove at the front lines, but he didn't really have the money to instantly replenish it. We see Cyril make those moves regularly, but then he has about 10,000 resources in the bank to, well, catch up, right? He can instantly remax. Rogue doesn't really have that option. Now, is the recall going to complete? It will not. Last possible second on that one. Hatchery dies. Nexus also dies. This game has just become extremely chaotic. My main concern, though, is just the standing army that MaxPax currently has. Like, Rogue is making some really cool plays, but most of his army right now is Zerglings. Like, he's got 8 Corruptors. That's nice and all, but you kind of need, like, I don't know, 28 Corruptors in order to reliably counter all of the units that MaxPax currently has. And he doesn't have the money to just instantly replenish it. The creep spread is looking good. We are having a pretty solid income, though, here for Rogue. Yeah, he's actually grabbed the advantage again. Remember, this is when the Adepts first killed all of those workers in the early game. Zealot run-bys in the upper left are scary, but there is an Ultralist running in this direction, and we have, okay, a couple of Spine Crawlers set up as well. What about the main army? Do we not have an Observer? There's no Observer in the mix. This is kind of crazy. Cloak gets activated. MaxPax will probably start one up. Yeah, it's just about to finish, but he also knows that he kind of needs to commit to this attack. Okay, kill the hatchery and go home. Well, it might be a little bit too late to go home. Here we go. We once more have the Corruptor swooping in. Ultras are crashing into all of the Archons. But again, is there not just too much Skytals? Sure, the ground units will get cleaned up, but the majority of the flying units are still available. Now we have some Void Rays added into the mix. Normally a questionable unit in most games, but I think in this type of situation, Voids are actually kind of sweet. The only counter here that Rogue really has is Corruptors. No Hydras, and not really that many Queens available either. Only 3 of those. Still, the Ultralisk run-by over here is sweet. Here's the Zealots going into the upper left-hand corner. Rogue's positioning over there is good. Ultras are kind of derping out a bit, but they've already taken care of 1 Nexus. In the meantime, we have the 3rd hatchery over here of Rogue now in a world of trouble. We could obviously also recall again into the main base if we want to, or recall back home if we please. Void Rays in the meantime, activating Prismatic Alignment to try and go after all of the Ultras. And you know what? It's going to take them a while, but they will finish the job eventually. And then in the meantime, Rogue is still killing so much stuff. The problem is, though, he cannot really build an army that can kill this Skytle's ball. And that is the simple fact of the matter. Like, all of this is nice, but as the dust is settling, isn't this just always going to be a gigantic advantage here for MaxPax? MaxPax is going to have, yeah, very soon 5 Void Rays. He's got 4 carriers and a mothership. And in order to counter it, we have 7 Corruptors. There's not enough money here coming in for Rogue to really make a lot more than that either. So I guess his plan is to try and just counterattack with the Ultras and try to keep this all going. He may have to recall in a moment, though. Problem right here for Max is that he has no mining. Look at the zeros over here at the bottom of the screen. +0, +0. Does indicate that he is not really getting any income here whatsoever. Ultra's kind of derping out a little bit. Can you really recall? That's the problem now, because you know that the Zerg is likely getting some income. He knows about the base in the upper left. 1 Zealot trying its absolute best to get the job done. We have a new Void Ray available too with the Prismatic Alignment. In the meantime, the natural expansion is being overwhelmed. But little anti-air that Rogue had on the ground will indeed get sniped. Next up is going to be the Hive, I believe. And, well, do we actually just have to go home? We will go home. Ooh, we have that little Void Ray being chased around. It will end up going down. Corruptor also falls. Do we pull the boys? Do we take a page out of Maru's book? Or do we just long distance mine it? We try up to, yeah, we try to go up to 400 minerals again. Okay, fair enough. MaxPax has made this game incredibly uncomfortable for himself. The problem for him is that he cannot really leave a lot of army at home because he doesn't know how much economy Zerg has. He knows that there's mining though, and that is creating a lot of urgency. Because even though he's got a bit of income himself, there's about 0% chance here that Rogue has less than Protoss. Oh, Corruptor count is pretty big. The Void Rays did just split up. Cloak gets activated though, and that is really nice. A recall here towards the Mama ship to bring those Voids into the battle. Zergling Ultralisk counterattack going in though. Now, the win condition in StarCraft 2, I think it's worth repeating, it is to kill your opponent's structures. The actual units do not matter. So the structures tab here, if it hits, well, 0, right? If there's no structure available anymore for the Protoss, that would seal the deal. The Corruptors, they're swooping in. They're going to be able to go after some of the Voids. Nexus goes down, so no more recalls available right here from MaxPax. Did Rogue just get the freaking job done? Because as he is now triggering this entire slow-moving Skytle's army back home again, he is mining. Rogue, you absolute menace. Did you just actually get the job done? The final structures of the Protoss are being sniped. Oi, 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 where are they? There's a couple over here in the natural expansion still. Here's that Protoss army coming home, but I don't really know exactly if there's enough. At this point, Rogue is gonna see all of the stuff as well that Protoss still has, and it's only this. It's only this. The Ultras are derping more so than they ever do. Time Warp gets planted down, but the Frenzy passive of these Ultras does not really matter here. He's getting the final pylon. Oi, 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 Rogue. Rogue did not have any anti-air for the last 7 minutes against Skytles, and he won the game. How did he just pull that off?